On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains.
Coming to you straight from San Diego, California. Let's welcome our host, April Mahoney.
You know, that's what I tell people all the time, is that you have to bring your happy when you come to the edge, or you can't come, you got to go back home.
I know that's right.
Brains to On the Edge with April Mahoney. You know, dropped off at the spot. This here is the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Today, we have author E.Raye Turonek. I have had the most incredible authors on my show, and they're writing thrillers, okay? None of this business stuff, entrepreneurial, self-help. This is some real entertainment. And so I am so excited to have her here. She is the author of maybe 5 books. I know of 3 of them, and you're going to have an opportunity to win 2 and some swag. She is a mother of 5. She's a postal worker, Brains. Yes. She lives in a very rural, romantic part of the United States, and she is an astrologer. Oh, yes, we're going to see, because all this is written in the stars, okay? On the Edge, we'll be able to see them. So let's welcome her to the edge, E.Raye Turonek. How are you, baby?
I'm great. How are you, April?
I can't complain.
Hi, guys.
Nothing. They Brains, girl. They like to be called Brains.
Brains. Hi, Brains.
So this is exciting because you do so many wonderful things. I don't know how you have time to do it with a husband and 5 kids, but we're going to get to that.
Okay. I don't know how I have time to do it either, but I managed to get it done.
Well, you are just all over the blatosphere, and I have been posting up the books and running promotions for you because I'm just so excited to see that, you know, people are still using their creativity, they're creatives, and they're writing things outside of something that's so serious. They're taking us to fantasy places, and they're taking us to mystery and mayhem and murder. This is exciting. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you started writing.
Well, actually, I started writing. I wanted to be a screenwriter first. I was having reoccurring dreams, and that was back in about 2005. So I wound up writing Compelled to Murder. Back then, it was called A Reason to Kill, as a screenplay. And when I wrote it as a screenplay, I finished it and I sent it in to some publishers, and they wound up writing me back and asking me to switch it to book form. Now, I was just, I don't know how I want to say this. I hadn't really found myself nor the motivation to push myself to such an elevation before I found this is before I found astrology, you know. So I didn't do it. You know, I continued to just work a regular full-time job and not handle the entrepreneurial or nourish the creativity inside of me. So 10 years went by. And my grandmother, my husband's grandmother, she kept on me about, you know, when are you going to put the book out? When are you going to write the book? So that's what I did. I wound up writing the book in 2016. And my cousin, Amira Shanice, she is the director and producer of New York Girls TV. It's a web series. She actually published it for me. So that's how I got started. And that's how I really got into the literary community. I didn't really start until about 2016.
Well, that's incredible that, you know, you had a reoccurring dream. So tell us about the dream and how you incorporated an astrology in this as well.
Well, as far as the dreams, it was basically just about a guy going out and trying to find the person that had murdered his child. And at the dream that I had was the beginning when how she died. So I would keep having that dream, her getting killed. And from there, I was just like, you know what, this is a story, you know, and I started to write it. And I would go to sleep with the intention of dreaming about that. So, and that's how I went further, you know, into writing it. Now, as far as astrology, I put like little bits of astrology, you know, in teaching lessons in my books. But for the most part, my astrology is separate. I do have a YouTube channel as well. It's called Enchantress Press Astrology. and I do monthly horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. And it basically helps everyone, mind, body, soul, and career, because I have a big career focus because of me knowing entrepreneurs. And I just want to help everybody to basically, learn themselves and see where they intentionally block themselves from moving forward.
So tell us, what is astrology? People think it's hocus pocus, alamocus.
Well, you know what? A lot of people said that, and I would have friends that would say, Ebony, you know what? You should do horoscopes. You should do tarot and read tarot. And I'm like, well, I have nothing against tarot. I listen to tarot readers, but I have a husband and 5 children, and I really don't want to bring that into my house right now at this moment.
Right.
With them being here too, that energy, because you never know what else you can invite in. So I decided to do astrology, and astrology is the study of the planets, the stars, and how they aspect each other and how it affects us. So even though it's harder because you have to study it, it's safer because it's more fact, and you don't have to worry about all the spirits and all of that stuff that comes with tarot cards.
Okay, because I done had some tarot card readers on here. I've had people that done dowsing. You know what dowsing is?
No. I mean, dowsing, I know what the literal meaning of it is, but I don't know the actual.
She was these rods, and you can ask the rods in a specific question, and you could tell by the way that they move what.
Wow, no, I've never.
Right, and have palm readers, everybody, because there's truth. People have found wisdom in all of these things. So we're not knocking nobody's thing.
Definitely.
We got to get in where we fit in, right?
Definitely.
So now, when you started studying astrology, you really use that because, again, you kind of went into that and studied that before we even agreed to come on and do this interview. How does that really impact and influence and guide your life?
Well, I've used astrology not only to learn myself, as far as my personal chart, the snapshot of the stars, basically when I was born, the snapshot of the stars, basically when you were born, is your birth date and your time, and it tells you all about yourself. It tells you where the planets were, how they were aspecting, and how it makes you up, your makeup. So that being said, I just used it basically to find out how I go about intentionally blocking myself. I found out what my north node was about and my south node, which means my highest self and my lowest self. So I had to learn to balance myself and get out of those lower vibrational energies or those lower vibrational habits that are of me and my lineage. And, once it showed me that, I know what to stop. I can see what's blocking me and what brings me in that bad karma. So that's basically how I use it. And I also use it to, just like when you wanted to schedule the interview, I had to actually pull up my personal chart to see which days are the most positive days for me as far as communication. And that's how I chose this day. So I use astrology all around. I use the cycles of the moon to manifest. I use it wholeheartedly.
That's right. So what does your family think about this?
My family always, my mom is like, you know what, you are always weird. You are always a weird kid. That's what she says. That's how you are. You're my weird child. I am the middle child. And, but she did say you were always really smart. Nothing ever held you down. You're always gung-ho. You always try for everything. You're smart and you're not afraid to just soak up and learn everything. And she did tell me, recently, that she was really proud of me for following my dreams, as opposed to just going with my family and just being like, oh no, tarot and horoscopes and Christian and you got to do this and that. She was proud that I set aside, on my own and said, you know what, I'm gonna break these generational curses and not do everything everybody else did before me, because obviously they did something wrong, and I'm gonna do it right. So
what number child is your unique child? Because you got 5.
Oh, you know what? All of my children are unique in their own way. But Abigail, I would probably say she's the 8-year-old. She's the most energetic and dynamic. She wants to learn. She wants to read. She wants to kind of be just like me and stuff like that. She's really, really strong. So I would say she's probably the most. She will probably be the most creative and extraordinary. She's left-handed. She, all that hoopla.
So now you work a job, you have 5 children, and you have time to write. Tell my brains, give them some ideas of how you incorporate life-work balance.
Okay, so I work at the post office, so I'm lucky because I sort the letters, and I have to be to work super early in the morning. So when everyone is still sleeping at 3 a.m., I'm at work. So I get off, rather early. By noon, I'm done. So I can come home. It's really, really structured. I have to come home, take a nap, and then I can get up and I write. Usually I try to do at least 2,000 words. If I do a little less than that, it is. Sometimes I try to do 4,000, but I try to at least do 2,000. And then I go into, the other activities with the kids because they do soccer and t-ball and stuff like that. That's going to be coming up here. And I just take my laptop with me and I write there as well. So I try to do as much as I can because I have to do the horoscopes too. So it's definitely a lot, fitting it in. I get some complaints from my husband about me working too much sometimes.
I know, but you know what? Thank God that you have a husband, that you have a support system, because I got a dream catcher, not a dream crusher, because I be doing all kind of stuff, be going places and, writing. I'm going to write another book. I'm not going to tell you guys about it. And I'm going to be creating another podcast that I'm going to talk to you about offline. So let's fast forward to your publications. How many books have you written? Was it 5?
No, actually I've written 3 books.
Okay.
The other 2 books were anthologies under Conglomerate Ink, Ranisha Pittman. And I had short stories in both of those books, and By Humbug and Off With His Head. Those are the other 2 books that you're referring to. In addition to that, Rule Route 8 is my book. I just finished it, but it's not out yet because it's with my agent, and I'm working on part 2 right now. So I do have other books that are finished, but I can't put them out just yet because they're, going somewhere else.
Absolutely. Because I'm going to ask you about screenplays. So you've written these books, okay? Your inspiration came from a dream, and you write at the coffee shop, 2,000 pages or 2,000 words per day. But I want to know what is inside the pages of the books. Now, what I want you to do is tell me, because you told me how the sequel and the prequel started and where we are. And then, Brains, we are going to sit back and relax, and she is going to read an excerpt from one of her books. And then we have some more questions. So tell us a little bit about, set the scene for us, E.Raye.
Okay. So at the beginning of Compelled to Murder, John and Megan come home from a night out, a nice dinner. And when they come inside, that's when they find their daughter, Samantha, killed. That was the first book that I wrote, Compelled to Murder. Once I actually got an agent, she informed me that the literary industry really expects you to write a novel that's at least at 75,000 words or more for it to be considered a novel, truly. So I rewrote Compelled to Murder and added 25,000 words to it. So Compelled to Murder, the next Compelled to Murder full length is a little longer. It's the full story of Compelled to Murder. And Compelled to Murder 2 is actually the prequel to everything. So it tells you about
I need you to hold it up to move your fingers, because I need to pull it down a little bit. Down, I need, and up a little bit. Yes, because we want people to be compelled to murder.
To read it.
Right, exactly. Okay.
So this one tells about Stephen is our antagonist in Compelled to Murder, the original and full length. But this right here, this book, part 2, tells you how Stephen became so maleficent, how he became so vile. It tells you about his father and what made him like that. So even if you read the books, if you read this one first, you would kind of get the story from the very beginning. So.
All right. So we are ready to get the story on, right?
Okay. So I'm going to read. So I have to pull my bookmark out. This is my favorite bookmark, by the way. Let me show you. It's Robert White. He's actually a reviewer. He's a great book reviewer. And this is one of the best bookmarks I have. So I love using it. Okay.
Well, I'm jealous.
So I know I have to have him get you one. It's a really glamorous book, you know,
It is. And I
Mark.
sent you some as well with some poetry, so enjoy those as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate them. And I love my bag that you sent me.
Thank you.
I know they really appreciate those. I was waiting for one of those cups.
Oh, see, I didn't know which one. Well, you know, there's always opportunities, and the mail, you handling it, so it's always coming through. You never know.
Yes, so I can get on screen and drink it.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Braves,
Okay.
we're getting ready for Compelled to Murder.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it'll take me about 4 minutes, a short passage. Okay. Shiba, the Navicious Rottweiler, trotted through the lush green pastures in the yard, her flapping tongue dangling from one side of her open mouth. The canine ducked off into the doggy opening at the base of the back door, which led to the kitchen, where her water bowl sat beside the refrigerator. The day's forecast was sunny, and Shiba had worked up a massive thirst chasing around Possum, along with other strays who dared roam the property. Olivia stood at the stove with a wooden spoon, stirring a pan of macaroni and cheese, her son's favorite dish. "Oh, wow, you're really thirsty, girl," she remarked, glancing down at the panting pup as she lapped up every drop of water in her bowl. "I bet you'd like a treat, wouldn't you?" Shiba sat up on her hind legs, lifting her snout, her nubby tail wagging from left to right. She was a good dog, obedient, and an exceptional protector. Sorry. "I'll give you a treat, but I need for you to go find Stephen for me." "Can you go find Stephen?" Olivia popped open the glass jar atop the kitchen counter, retrieving a dog treat in the shape of a miniature bone. "Okay, you ready, girl?" It wagged even faster as Olivia dropped the treat into Sheba's mouth. "I held up my end of the bargain. Now it's your turn," she professed with a hand on her hip and raised brows. The obedient pup tore off through the big house to complete its given task. Shiba headed straight up the stairs to the hallway bathroom on the second floor. Once inside, she mashed her snout to the small door along the wall, then stepped back, allowing it to pop open. Tracking Stephen's scent took her behind the walls where he often explored. Old toys and cobwebs lined the halls, and although it was dark, Shiba's large pupils allowed her to navigate with ease. The canine traveled its halls for less than a minute before finding Stephen just as he placed the oil lamp down on the floor alongside him. Shiba barked to get his attention, but as opposed to awarding it, the curious boy shimmied down the ventilation shaft until he'd made it down to the cellar. Shiba jumped onto her hind legs, letting her front paws grip the wall as she peered down at the opening where Stephen had disappeared. The little boy crawled out of a vacant chamber in a room where some of the bodies were stored. He stood still, dressed in his Peter Rabbit pajamas from the night before. A small toy army man dropped to the cement from his left hand when he saw something that piqued his interest. The single corpse covered by a white cloth sheet laid atop a gurney in the center of the room. The aroma of formaldehyde, methanol, and glutaraldehyde and other solvents permeated the brisk air. Stephen shuddered, partly because of the cold, the other being due to the eerie feeling that washed over him once he decided he wanted to see the body. He wondered what the body looked like, how the person died, how their skin felt. So many unanswered questions he was determined to solve all on his own. When he'd watch his mother work, it was always from across the room, or he'd be sitting on the floor pushing toy cars to and fro. Never had he ever been this close. Stephen inched over to the gurney, lifting the sheet, heart pounding, his pupils expanded as he peeked under at her naked body. The nipples on her breasts were stiffened and purple. How beautiful, he thought. Should I touch them? I wonder how they feel. The tiny fingers on his hand moved underneath the sheet across her skin to the silky mound with the purple tip. He liked how her breast felt on the palm of his hand. He wanted to taste her nipple. I wonder if it has milk like mommy's used to, he pondered the thought. He could still remember its sweet taste. It was just 2 years prior she'd stopped breastfeeding him. Stephen's mouth edged open once he'd made up his mind. I'm going to taste them. Woof, woof, Shiba barked, having made her way through the doggy door to complete her mission. A jolt of uneasiness pushed Stephen's body back away from the corpse. Although his curiosities may have been innocent, the young boy had a feeling that his actions weren't quite right.
Wow. Wow. Okay, now, Stephen. So now, when you say he watched his mother work, I'm not supposed to be asking these questions, but I want to get an idea. Was she a mortician?
Yeah, she dolls up the corpses and stuff like that. They actually live in a mortuary.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so now we figure out, the premise of how he got this creepy feeling and going on.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
something about Shiba too, because you've mentioned her and you started with her. So she's got a pivotal role in this. I'm excited.
Oh, the doggy.
Yeah, the doggy.
And my dogs were always named Shiba too. So.
That was my first dog. That was
really?
That was my first dog's name. It was Shiba. A little black poodle. Girl, and I would push her in that stroller. It was just the best thing ever. So now, tell us a little bit about converting a novel to a play or a screenplay. I know you can't go into details, but what do they do? You have to work more on creating the scene and creating the movement and the characters, and it's a lot less words.
It is. It's really I don't want to say it was easy for me to do it the first time. Now that I'm doing it now, it's a little bit more challenging because I've been writing books now. Before I hadn't been writing books. So now I've conditioned myself to be so detailed because I write my books like movies. I write them so that you can picture everything that I'm saying and you can see it as a movie as you read it. So it's kind of hard for me to take out of that. But the good thing is with screenplays, they're all about movement and action. So, what you take out of the book to put in your screenplay should be mostly the action, how people are moving and, basically the movements.
Well, with all these different options that are on your television now with the Hulu and the Amazon and Netflix and the Tyler Perry and the OWNs and all that, girl, I know that they are looking for content, great content.
They are. And I'm ready to give it to them.
Okay, now when you talk about copyright and your proprietary interest, because I always want people to know that this is the movie business. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Is the book business. There is a business side to that, and so many creatives get caught up in the fact of just being creative that they forget that there's money involved, and when there's money involved, the devil is in the details. Okay, so how do you protect yourself, and really try to keep an eye out on your creative content and your proprietary works? Well,
first of all, I make sure that I copyright. I don't get a lawyer or anything to copyright. It's simple. You can just go to uscopyright.gov or whatever, and you can copyright your items. You can do one piece of work for $35 or a collection of works for $55. So it doesn't cost much. So I make sure that I copyright everything that I put out. Now, as far as deals coming your way and things like that, I would suggest any deals that come your way, you definitely have a lawyer or somebody with some type of knowledge of law, to read it over, and kind of advise you as to what to do, because you can get under people that may misuse you. So it's definitely better to do that. And I also have an LLC, and I do that to protect myself separate from the business. So if somebody ever came and tried to sue me, they couldn't sue Mental Chatter Musings, nor could they sue Enchantress Press Astrology. Right. So I definitely suggest you do that. And you can actually go to the IRS.gov and you can get an EIN for free for your your business. The one through the state is probably about $50. And you'll need that too to operate in your state, state. Absolutely. But yeah, you got to protect yourself.
You have to protect yourself because this is your baby. It's like giving birth to baby number 6, right?
It is, which I'm not going to do.
But no, it is. And I felt that way when I created my poetry. My brother was in the music business for a long time. He traveled with, the Beatles and Billy Preston and Michael Jackson and all that. And that was the first thing that he taught me. He said, baby, what you need to do is you need to be sure that you protect yourself and copyright, and then go troll and Google the internet. I Google it and I done found some strange stuff that I had to ask people to take down because it is an infringement on my copyright. This is not my work. This is something that you've downloaded and you edit and you tweaked and you put a front on and a back. That's not what I produced.
That's terrible.
Well, I mean, you know, sometimes it's ignorance, and ignorance just means not knowing. You know,
Yeah.
and so that's why I take this opportunity to share with individuals that you don't plagiarize, you don't put Frankie Beverly's music to the back of your video, because that's not your music unless you're paying him some royalties. Okay.
Yeah. That's
You know,
right.
people's intros and outros, that is their work. If there's something that you want to do, then you create it. You do it. You do it from scratch. But you don't take it and edit somebody else's work. So
That's
thank
right.
you so much, E.Raye.
Thank you.
I love you for being on here. There's some things I
And
want
I
to
love
talk to
you
you
too.
back. I want to talk to
Thank
you
you.
about some stuff because we're going to do some stuff because there is a world of literature that's out there that is under-discovered. And, you know, in the literary world, I know that there was a black press and there were the books was going and blowing and you had, you know, all kind of great authors, Terry McMillan
Yes.
and Elin Harris, and he, bless his heart, he passed away. And Eric Jerome Dickey, girl, I'm telling you, the black community was hanging on to every word. I don't know what happened to that. So what we're gonna try to do is re-engage, and not just for the black community, white community, but for everyone. Everyone enjoys a good literary read. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you and get a copy of one of your books.
Guys, okay, so you can go to my website, E.Raye Turonek books.us, or you can always go to Enchantress Press Astrology on YouTube. Please subscribe and like the channel. And if you go to the About section on the channel, I have all of my links there to my Amazon, to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all there. So Enchantress Press Astrology is YouTube, and E.Raye Turonek Books is my website, my literary website, which is Mental Chatter Musings.
Well, Brains, and I have all the links there provided for you here on the YouTube upload. We put it on Facebook. We put it on Blog Talk. We got it on iTunes, Mixcloud, Spotify, LinkedIn. We are all over the planet. And I, again, would like for you to subscribe to each and everything because those subscriptions are important. And you're feeling what we're doing because you keep coming back. But now I need you to be committed. What? The big C word. Committed. Yes. Here on the edge. Thank you so much, E.Raye Turonek. Come on back to the edge. Keep us abreast on what's going on. Girl, and I'm going to be holding my remote, looking for you.
Yes, please.
The next mini-series, okay? We ain't just doing one little short film. We got a whole mini-series.
That's right. Thank you, April Mahoney. Thank you, Brains. I really appreciate you guys having me here and taking the time to listen to little old me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, Brains, have an exceptional day and pick up a book. Reading is good for your soul.
It's fundamental.